Good afternoon, everyone. This is Deaconess Elizabeth, and it is August the 13th. It's a Friday today, so, one of those Friday the 13ths. Our reading today is from the book of 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, starting at the first verse. Now, concerning the matters about which you wrote, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman, but because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman her own husband. The husband should give to his wife her conjugal rights, and likewise the wife to her husband. For the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer. But then come together again, so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. Now, as a concession, not a command, I say this: I wish that all were as I am, or as I myself am. But each has his own gift from God, one of one kind and one of another. To the unmarried and the widows, I say that it is good for them to remain single as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry. For it is better to marry than to burn with passion. To the married I give this charge, not I, but the Lord. The wife should not separate from her husband, but if she does, she should remain unmarried, or else be reconciled to her husband, and the husband should not divorce his wife. To the rest I say, I, not the Lord, that if any brother has a wife who is an unbeliever and she consents to live with him, he should not divorce her. If any woman has a husband who is an unbeliever and he consents to live with her, she should not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband is made holy because of his wife, and the unbelieving wife is made holy because of her husband. Otherwise, your children would be unclean, but as it is, they are holy. But if the unbelieving partner separates, let it be so. In such cases, the brother or sister is not enslaved. God has called you to peace. For how do you know, wife, whether you will save your husband, or how do you know, husband, whether you will save your wife? Only let each person lead the life that the Lord has assigned to him, and to which God has called him. This is my rule in all the churches. Was anyone at the time of his call already circumcised? Let him not seek to remove the marks of circumcision. Was anyone at the time of his call uncircumcised? Let him not seek circumcision. For neither circumcision counts for anything, nor uncircumcision, but keeping the commandments of God. Each one should remain in the condition in which he was called. Were you a bondservant when called? Do not be concerned about it. But if you gain your freedom, avail yourself of the opportunity. For he who was called in the Lord as a bondservant is a freed man of the Lord. Likewise, he who was freed when called is a bondservant of Christ. You were bought with a price. Do not become bondservants of men. So, brothers, in whatever condition each was called, there let him remain with God. Okay, so here in this section, Paul is talking a lot about marriage and how it's good to be married and it's good to remain single. He says, speaking of the duties of the husband has to his wife and vice versa, and that the wife's body does not just belong to herself, but also belongs to her husband. And the same thing, the husband's body is not just his self, but it also belongs to his wife. So Paul continues after he talks about the married bit and says that it's also good to stay unmarried, whether you're single or widowed. So he continues along that same line by saying that he says that everyone should retain the place in life which God has called them to be in. And then he continues by going into circumcision. If when you were brought into the faith, were you circumcised? Were you uncircumcised? Don't seek to change whether you've been circumcised or you're not circumcised. He's saying it means nothing either way. Speaking to the church at Corinth here, it means nothing. And the only thing that it matters is keeping God's commands. That's the only thing that has anything to do with God. The circumcision and uncircumcision doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything. So That's our reading for today, and our it's going to be hymn 853, How Clear is Our Vocation, Lord, and we're going to do verses 1 and 4. How clear is our vocation, Lord, when once we heed your call to live according to your word and daily land refreshed, restored, that you are Lord of all and will not let us fall. In what you give us, Lord, to do, together or alone, in old routines or ventures new, may we not cease to look to you, the cross you hung upon, all you endeavored done. We'll conclude with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Well, thank you for joining me for today's daily devotions. Just a few announcements for this weekend. Tomorrow there will be no women's coffee hour in the morning, but we still will be offering sprouts at 1 o'clock in the other building. So you're welcome to come for that if you have a younger child. And then we do have on Sunday, we have after the service a hymnal ribbon committee meeting to further discuss our options or solidify the plan or the action plan for replacing and repairing the hymnal ribbons. So, and also, I forgot, I skipped over this, for tomorrow, we do have a preschool movie night tomorrow from 6 to 9 in the evening. So if you have a younger child and you'd like for them to come, we'll be here with a movie, with a craft, and with some snacks, and that'll be $10 per child. So hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday, and I look forward to seeing you all later throughout the week.